Now bring in criminal defense attorney Sara Azari to talk about this. Sara, good morning. Thank you for being with us. So Greenberg's plea, as Vaughn just mentioned, does not mention Matt Gaetz. But do you think that the congressman should be worried about what goes down tomorrow?
Yeah, Lindsay, he should be very worried because, for the last 20 years, I can't count how many individuals I've cooperated, and not once have I ever seen the name of a target appear in a plea agreement. This is absolutely normal that there's no mention or reference to Gaetz. But you have to remember that federal cooperation works upward. So when prosecutors decide to cooperate a defendant like Greenberg, they're not going to waste their time on somebody who has minimal information. They're going to sit down through proffers, which are these confessionals, and they're going to extract information about anybody, everybody that could have been involved in criminal wrongdoing. Again, not limited just to child sex trafficking, but it could be any other type of criminal conduct. And they're going to expect that somebody like Greenberg is going to provide information about individuals that are at least as culpable as him, if not more culpable than him. So Gaetz should absolutely be worried because he could potentially be one of those other men that Greenberg provides information on.
Well, what do you make of also Vaughn's reporting that yesterday in Ohio, Gaetz was downplaying the investigation against him, comparing it to earmarks? I mean, do you think at this point that prosecutors are taking notes on some of the things that he's saying publicly? Could that hurt his defense?
Of course, Lindsay, look, the worst thing you can do as a defendant being looked at in an investigation so serious is to say anything, even if you think it's neutral. And you have to remember that prosecutors are not going to just rely on Greenberg, who's soon to be a convicted felon on a multitude of charges. They're going to corroborate and validate what Greenberg has to say to them, which could implicate Gaetz. So in other words, where there's cooperation, there's corroboration. And they're not going to just put up Greenberg as a witness to testify against Gaetz. There's going to be potentially other men, other women who can come forward as witnesses, and then also financial documents and other records that could corroborate what Greenberg has had to share.
I want to get to some of the bombshell reporting that we've been covering this weekend from the Daily Beast, citing two unidentified witnesses claiming that Gaetz did drugs with a paid escort named Megan Zelonka after a GOP fundraiser in 2019. The Daily Beast also reports that she ended up getting a no-show government job, citing its sources and records that NBC News has not yet verified. The congressman, we should mention, says he never paid for sex. Her attorney says she's not speaking to any media outlets. But how could that potentially impact the investigation into Gaetz?
So the idea of paying for sex, if you are causing the individual, does not have to be a minor. He's a woman of any age or a man of any age, actually. If you're causing the person to for the purpose of sex, that is a violation of the Mann Act under federal law, and it carries at least a decade in prison. And so it just gets more complicated and more serious with more sentencing exposure if those individuals were minors. So the fact that this potential woman could be, if true, not a minor, but a sex worker or otherwise paid for sex, that is a problem for Gaetz.